We start things off from here in Atlanta, ladies and gentlemen. Fox 5. Trump temporarily spared from paying $83 million defamation award to E. Jean Carroll. Now, typically we keep things pretty light on Friday, but this is incredibly important, incredibly significant, because, of course, this was one of the many lawfare cases against Donald Trump, of course, for political persecution, as you guys already know. So, New York. An appeals court on Tuesday said President Donald Trump won't have to pay an $83 million defamation award to E. Jean Carroll for now. The court agreed to a request from one of Trump's lawyers, but he still has to post a $7.4 million bond to cover an additional interest cost. Digging deeper here, Trump's legal team is requesting the reprieve until the U.S. Supreme Court gets a chance to review the case or reject an appeal. And you guys already know, because we've talked about this quite a bit when it comes to the lawfare in and of itself. Many of these cases were out of the statutes of limitation. They were reintroduced with new rules and new policies and new stipulations. So on the backstory, you guys know this, the $83 million was awarded to Carroll back in January of 2024 due to the president's consistent social media attacks over her claims that he assaulted her in a Manhattan department store in 1996. The $83 million was in addition to the $5 million that was awarded to Carroll after a jury found Trump liable for the assault in 1996. Now, of course, the terminology, as you guys know, was a cause for concern when it came to ABC News, because they outright said, of course, you know, the actual R word in this case. But by definition of the court, it was not that particular assault, as it were, or type of assault, because each state has a different definition of this type of assault. But I will not argue the fact that any sort of assault like this is, of course, still assault, as it were. So it is on appeal. They're going over Trump's claims to appeal it, at least for the amount of $83 million. And, of course, he will have to go ahead and pay the bond of $7.4 million. But, of course, as you guys know, this was just one of the many cases that was brought up during the campaign to smear Trump, to generate these tabloid articles, like with, well, we saw the fraud with Judge Engoron, and, of course, with Stormy Daniels, the hush money case, which ended up being more about Michael Cohen getting a HELOC loan, a home equity loan, to pay off Stormy Daniels. And then, of course, in that case, Merchan was trying to suggest that it was in furtherance of a crime. That's how they were able to go from a misdemeanor, because interfering with documents or misrepresenting documents or falsifying documents in New York is a misdemeanor. So they had to raise it to a felony, because they wanted it to be under the auspice of it being a violation of campaign finance rules. That was never established, of course, as you know, because the case itself with Judge Engoron, I'm sorry, I keep saying Engoron when I mean Merchan. Judge Merchan went outside of, well, what I would call, it would be Davil law, in allowing individual verdicts to be given in that case, which is absurd. Of course, he ruled, that Trump was not, I can't remember the exact wording, but no punishment was given towards Donald Trump, that there was nothing there. So it never went through the way they wanted it to go through, but it wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to be a smear towards Trump, just like with E. Jean Carroll. But I noticed that it didn't get as much coverage as I thought it would. Now, it does show a pretty heavy-handed amount of coverage here on Ground News, because, of course, it is a big story, and it came out of Fox here. And then, of course, we had Breitbart, which covered it almost exactly like NBC News. So it was across the board, and then it was a lot of discussion for the last several days, because, of course, the story came out on the 12th. As of this recording, it is the 14th on a Thursday. So as we can see here, people were still talking about it and still talking about it today. But let me know down in the comments section, what are your thoughts? Did you not perceive that a lot of what was happening in New York was nothing but lawfare against Donald Trump? Now, I'm not saying that Donald Trump is the perfect human being, but nonetheless, we're never going to elect a saint as a president. And, of course, being a billionaire, you're always going to have these sorts of cases that are going to be against you. You're going to always have people going after you. And as people have mentioned, that E. Jean Carroll has accused other people of these same type of things, these same types of activities. But as you guys know, if you see Trump going anywhere, even as president or even before he was president, he always has an entourage with him. So it's not like he's ever by himself entirely to where something of this effect would be able to happen without somebody knowing about it. So just a thought on that. But here we are. This is the latest updates on the situation with Donald Trump and E. Jean Carroll. It looks like he might be able to get an appeal, and it's going to go to the Supreme Court. And we'll see what ends up happening with this. But as you guys know, I was always wondering what was going to happen when Pam Bondi became the Attorney General and whether or not she was going to address Letitia James and Alvin Bragg and Judge Merchan and Judge Engeron in New York for prosecutorial misconduct, because this was political persecution. Regardless of the case and its merits, it was still a persecution towards someone to ensure that Donald Trump didn't get elected. But you guys already know all this. Let me know down in the comments what your particular thoughts are across these three cases, or in a particular case on this particular situation that we saw during the campaign. But this is where we are with this. But this was something I wanted to bring to you guys on a Friday. Normally we go with something a little bit lighter, but nonetheless, I thought this was important enough to bring up, but certainly worth talking about here this particular Friday. So that's what I have for you guys on this Friday.
All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for this Friday vlog. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the comments. And, of course, below this video, we have the various social media links that I belong to that you can avail yourselves to. If you order frequently from Amazon or a Prime member, you can use my landing page link safely, as your privacy is protected. And, of course, speaking of privacy while you're online, my favorite VPN, TrustZone, is down there. No bloat, no fuss, get straight to what you want to do. And the speeds have been quite amazing now that I've renewed my own subscription. But nonetheless, guys, thank you so much across BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, all of the new tech. You guys have been very, very helpful this year in 2026 with your comments and your actions and your activities here on the channel. It's been amazing. So thank you so very much for all of that. With the interesting and bizarre changes that we as creators are having to do and make and so forth here, it's been kind of wild. Of course, some of you are creators yourselves, so you may understand what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, guys, thank you so much. Appearing there on the screen, that's going to be the channel icon here on the channel. You guys can click on that to subscribe, as well as select notifications. That way you know when there's content here on the channel. And I'll see all you guys behind the Galaxy phone camera next week.